Thank you for watching Mike's in the Garden. I'm Mike, and it's my job to show you just how easy it is to grow food. And today we're going to do that here on this porch in this apartment complex with my friend Ralph. What's happening, Ralph?
What's going on, Mike?
Thanks for doing this with us today. This is going to be awesome to kind of show people how they can grow food if they only have a small porch, if they live in an apartment. And why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into permaculture.
Okay. Well, I'm a city boy turned humble permaculture enthusiast. I'm from New York City, the concrete jungle. I guess I got this love of nature because I also spent summers in Puerto Rico as a kid, and I'd be with some animals and learning how to ride horses and out in the jungles, and then I'd go back to the cement, concrete, steel city where I just wasn't as happy. And permaculture, I can't even quite remember where I first heard the term, but I can say that there was a point where I was looking at all the world's problems, and it just was overwhelming. And there was a point where I realized that permaculture principles and permaculture design applied to not just gardens but all sorts of things can solve so many of the world's problems. Much like that quote from Bill Mollison, although the problems of the world are increasingly complex, the solution remains embarrassingly simple. So I really wanted to learn more about permaculture. I went to Costa Rica for a few months, and that's where I got my permaculture design course. This was in 2022. And I got my permaculture design certificate, and I'm no expert, okay? I'm still learning about plants, but I've got the basics down, and I'm always working on it, and there's always more to learn. You know?
Always more to learn. Mm-hmm. Well, that's what this channel is designed for. I'm no expert, but we want to communicate and talk to other people and see what they're doing and what they're growing, because maybe I have tips for you, maybe something worked that you can share with me that'll help me improve what I'm growing and what I'm doing. So that's exactly what this channel is designed for. And yeah, I'm excited to show everybody what you have here. And actually in your complex as well is pretty amazing. What people don't even know is at their fingertips. So I guess we should just get going, and we'll start by just taking a look at what you have in this area.
Sure.
Why don't you show us what you have growing out on your porch here?
Okay, perfect. So first one, we've got moringa here, the tree of life. I come out here and I just pick some of these leaves right off and just chew on them. A lot of vitamins, minerals, super nutritious.
So good.
It grows super fast. We got a little baby one growing out of there too. Now, everything I have it's in pots because, you know, I don't have the permission to be planting them, but it's in pots. So we got the moringa. We've got chaya, which is a great nutritional green, similar to spinach. Needs to be cooked. So got these great leaves. That's doing well. Also, a baby one is growing out. I've got right here pigeon peas, also known as gandules. This plant here. So that'll produce the pigeon peas, and it's also great for chop and drop. It's a good nitrogen fixers. Most beans are great nitrogen fixers, so they're good to plant next to fruit trees to put that nutrient back in the soil and then chop and drop around. I've got watercress, which is not doing so well. And you know, you really gave me the idea, Mike, to transplant it into something that's got better drainage. So I'll be doing that probably into this pot.
Okay.
And then if it drains, it'll drain into the chaya plant.
Sure.
So it's controlling water a bit and conserving water. Over here I've got longevity spinach, also super nutritious spinach. Every time I pick some, it just seems to grow double and way more. It's phenomenal. I bought this, it was not that big a few weeks back, and now it's just thriving. This I started just recently. So I just went to a hardware store and got these bins. got some cow manure and compost, threw it in there. I started with this, so I just had a sweet potato that started growing some ears. So I chopped off that part and cooked the rest. And I just threw those slips into here. And I mean, you can already see how good that is. Also, I know I'm eating everything, but yeah, the leaves are edible. The leaves, the stems are edible. And I didn't even know this, but a friend of mine taught me that sweet potatoes can be eaten raw too. I prefer them cooked. But yeah, so the sweet potato is doing very well here. And then here I have some more sweet potatoes. And then these are either acorn squash or butternut squash. I'm not quite sure. I had some seeds in a cup that I'd forgotten about. They started getting a little moldy, a little fungal. So I threw them in there as compost, but lo and behold, we've got a lot of leaves growing. It's going to do well. And then all this, you know, is right here. We've got some rose petals. Well, once the roses started dying, I threw that in. These are leaves that I got on the property here. You know, this is all mulch that I collected here. I didn't have to buy it. It's all around. So
how long have these sweet potatoes been in this container?
I did that on International Permaculture Day, which was a day in May. So it can't be any more than 3 or 4 weeks.
Wow, they look really good for just 3 or 4 weeks.
Right, right.
And what's this?
So this, okay, so I'm glad you pointed that out. That's, I believe that's Mexican sunflower. Planted it in there. It's not doing well at all. I don't know why. The reason, maybe, you know, in the moving, the transplanting, I got that from, you know, Jim Gale and Food Forest Abundance. I think maybe in the transplanting it, maybe I wasn't gentle enough, or maybe the sweet potatoes are maybe it just doesn't have room. I'm not quite sure. That's one of those things. But I could give it a shot. It is on its last legs. I could give it a shot and try to transplant it into a different pot and see if it can regrow. But that's kind of comes with the territory. You're gonna crack a few eggs to make an omelet, and you know some of your plants are gonna die, and you just you know you get better at it and better at it. I killed so many plants in New York City. I had no green thumb. I kept trying, kept going at it, and finally in New York City, I had a window garden where I finally got success with some herbs, some hardy herbs like rosemary and thyme. And so I started off with that. So I would definitely recommend to a lot of the viewers to start off with some herbs, something hardy, and you know maybe something you could keep in the kitchen by a window. And that's your first start of growing something that you can eat. So yeah, recommend that. And then sweet potatoes are super easy. This you can do anywhere. Just get a bin, get some soil, and make sure you mulch and give it enough water. And I mean, it's doing so well in a few weeks.
Yeah.
I can't wait to dig those up.
It'll probably vine up this fence too.
Right.
Yeah.
So using stacking functions, using the space around you. You know, I'm probably not being the most eloquent right now, but there's so many permaculture principles that we can enact in this tiny little space. And
let's talk about the flowers coming off this hibiscus here.
Right. So I love seeing these flowers, and they're great. They attract the pollinators, the bees and the butterflies. You know, people swat at bees, which I think is super silly. Leave them alone. They won't sting you if you're not hurting them. But anyway, these attract them, and we need those pollinators to pollinate the flowers so that they can then become fruits. So this thing dumps fruits just about every day. I find, flowers. Every day I find these flowers all on the ground. So I just grab them and throw a few in different plants here. Just throw them on top. Whoa, jeez. And I just throw them in. And every day I have mulch ready to go. So, you know,
free mulch, not this make-believe mulch.
Mm-hmm.
The real mulch, the chop and drop style. Use what nature gives us.
Right. And then I take my crits and straps and I don't know how great of a compost idea this is, but I take kitchen scraps, I put it under the leaves, I put it in there, I let it decompose. So that would be the green in the compost, and then I've got the dry leaves and twigs and stuff, that's the brown.
Let me ask you this, do you uncover a buried banana peel, and is it still there? Is it dried up? Is it gone?
We could have a look. So here, that is, I think, some mango.
Okay.
Some mango peel right there.
How old that is?
That can't be more than it's less than 2 months.
Okay.
So that's breaking down.
Got some bugs on it.
You know, there's some bugs. And one thing was I found worms that every once in a while I find worms on the cement, and they look like they're running from some. I don't know if there's toxic chemicals that are sprayed on the lawn. I'm not quite sure why they're. I know they come out when it rains. But anyway, anytime I see a worm on the cement, I pick it up and I put them right in there, and I know they're going to be very happy with the food castings that I have, and they'll break it down, and that'll provide nutrients for the plants. So, yeah, the stuff breaks down pretty fast. It doesn't attract any. It hasn't attracted. I haven't seen any raccoons or possums out here digging through my stuff. So, you know, it's not an issue. I would like to get, though, a true compost bin. Maybe I could even fit it in this space and compost. But for now, I just kind of just throw it in there. I'm not too, you know. Here I've got some stuff as well. Right there, you can see this is an avocado peel.
Yeah.
And sure, we've got, you know, the insects are taking care of that. So, yeah.
Excellent. Well, I think we should take a walk around and see what else is going on in your apartment complex that people maybe aren't even aware of, or that maybe we can add to the apartment complex.
Oh yeah, and I also have some food scraps right now that we could throw in.
Yeah, let's go get those right now. We'll throw them in.
And I mean, here I go with more of my like experimentation station. So I've got a bunch of avocado seeds sitting in shot glasses. You know, some of them are starting to open, and we'll get that root, and then we'll get the plant. And then I know where the leaves coming out, the stem and the leaves. And I know once you see that, you're supposed to cut it. It's amazing how cutting it back sparks the regeneration of the plant. So it's amazing how that actually makes it more hardy. So here I've got banana peel, organic banana, because I want to make sure it's not sprayed, and then some organic avocado shell. That'll break down. I've got these flowers that are dying. So yeah, we can just throw these right in. Now, it might be a little better for me to shred these up a bit, you know, and I can do that. Shred it up a little bit just to make it easier to break down. I just find a spot, throw it in there, and then I just kind of love the colors of seeing these rose petals around. So just kind of throw them on top. And you know, maybe I can be corrected on this method. Please, I'm open to all suggestions. As I said, I'm humble. I'm learning. So maybe there's a better way. Maybe composting it separately is a better way. But so far, it's looking pretty good.
One thing I want to ask, Ralph, is I'm sure you've thought about it, but do you have any way to collect rainwater?
So yes, so I actually put it inside.
Okay.
But I normally keep a little bin right here where it'll fall off the roof. The plants are perfectly in line with that, so anytime it rains, they're watered. The only ones I would have to water are the sweet potatoes and the squash that's growing in the bins. But yeah, I use that bin, and then I pour that in right into the other bins.
I wanted to bring it up because I know water runoff is important. Sometimes there's a pitched roof or something, or a drain or a gutter, and and you can easily just capture some of that water. And I know, especially in a small space, or I don't think they would allow you to put a rain barrel catchment system out here. I don't even know how you would. You don't have gutters, but I was just curious because I know that's something that people might be interested in. So hopefully, really buckets is kind of what's available.
Right, and here's another thing I should add. The bucket that I use is a Cambro from a restaurant that I worked in, and it was going to be tossed. And so I saw that it had a purpose. Why did we create this plastic? To just throw it, into the oceans and the rivers? No, I found another purpose. It was cracked, so it wasn't optimal for use in the kitchen there. But I saw a purpose. I saved it from going into the garbage, and now I'm using it to water my plants.
Excellent.
So yeah, this is it right here. A lot of people know these are Cambros. So it's cracked, it's cracked here and cracked around the edges. So I just leave that right here where the rain is just going to drop right into it. And on a rainy day when I get back home, it's full, and I just, lift and pour. That's all it is, simple as that. And, it's just great to save something that would have gone to the garbage and repurpose it. There's one more thing I didn't even mention, but I had it right here. So I've got this little plastic container. You can see the condensation, and I'm using the paper towel.
Okay. Germinating?
To germinate some seeds.
What do we got?
And it's a lot. Oh, what do we got? I'm forgetting the name of this one fruit, but I know I have a citrus seed. I have a grapefruit seed in here.
Okay.
And another seed, I'm not quite remembering the name.
Okay.
But yeah, I think outside here in the Florida heat's the best place for it. And
some pepper seeds?
Oh yeah, and a pepper seeds, that's right.
Okay.
Those peppers that I showed you over there, I did snatch one of those, and yeah, so I've got some pepper seeds growing, so
cool. We'll
see if that works. My apartment's right there. I was walking around and I was collecting these leaves here as mulch from this tree. Super thankful for this tree, and there were some broken branches, so I was, pulling off some leaves. So we don't see too much brown anymore, but after a while I started looking at these leaves, and then I noticed that there were some things growing. And I mean, if you look at the ground right here,
yeah,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 over there, 11. This thing is dropping avocados, and you still got more.
Yeah, there's dozens of them up there.
One more up there.
Yeah,
so I mean, there's so much, and I'm one of the few people in the complex that's even aware that this is here. Most people probably just don't even take time to smell the roses, but we've got a source of food right here. And imagine if every one of these plants in this apartment complex was providing food, or if there was a general garden area that would develop community. Neighbors would come, work in the garden, share food together. We do already over by the grill. We share food, and it's great. It adds to this sense of security and community, getting to know one another instead of just, just walking past each other and not even saying hello. So, I'm really trying to help spread the permaculture principles and the permaculture solutions. Here in Orlando, here in Central Florida, it could be a shining example for the rest of the city, nation and the rest of the world that we can develop this city with edible food growing. And think about it, if someone's homeless, but there's plenty of food growing, as I've seen in other countries, there's a lot less violent crime. They don't need to rob and steal to get money to go buy food. So this is just a smart idea. We can have food growing all throughout this city and keep it green, so yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, this is an amazing tree. Who knows how old it is, how long it's been here, but there's fruit all on this thing. Easily 100 fruit that still hasn't fallen.
These are some of the bigger ones I've found.
Yeah. Awesome.
So, yeah.
All right, so we're on the other side of your complex now. Why don't you tell everybody what's going on over here?
Right, so I was walking my roommate's dog around the complex, and I saw first this red here, and noticed that there's some peppers growing. Not sure what kind. I don't know if they're habanero or Scotch bonnet. Not sure, but it's clear to me that you can also see some serrano peppers. Over there you've got jalapenos there. You pointed out, Mike, the onions there that are growing. And then we've got these cherry tomatoes, we've got parsley here. This big nopales cactus tree, which, you know, this could be twisted off and you just put it in the earth and it'll grow a whole new cactus. And then over here you've got what looks like more peppers. Yeah, right down there.
Oh, damn.
So yeah, and you know, obviously someone put time and effort into this. They're also doing it in the front of the complex, which is kind of like it's open to everyone.
Sure.
Yeah, I haven't yet spoken to this person, but I would love to meet them because we are of like mind, it seems like. Got some more parsley growing there. And it looks like they, you know, just took a few pieces. They've got the hose, they've got everything ready. Someone's taking care of this. Someone put in this rod so that the peppers could grow tall.
Sure.
Someone did that, and hey, did they ask permission? I don't know. I'm not gonna, I won't tattle. This ain't harming anybody.
Nope.
In fact, if anything, it's providing nutrients. So, you know, sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness instead of ask permission. And I'm totally into guerrilla planting, you know, just plant where you can, like Johnny Appleseed, just plant where you can, because we can go through the bureaucracy of dealing with local governance and government and have to ask permission to do what we are supposed to naturally do, propagate here as humans, as mankind on earth, you know. So you know, here this might be an example of someone who just got started planting it. It looks great, you know, it looks beautiful. It adds some color, and you know, I don't know what kind of negative people could say about this. All I see is positive, you know. There's abundance, and instead of just ornamental bushes, we've got something that's producing food for people. And once again, imagine if this whole complex, imagine if everything here was a perennial plant providing crops all throughout the year. That'd be great for the people living at this complex.
All right, so we were walking to our next destination and we came across one of your neighbors here. Briefly, what do they have growing on here?
So there's lavender here, we've got mint growing there. I think they've got some other stuff growing over there. I see, actually I'm not quite sure what that is, but there's definitely some other edible food that's being grown in the soil, which is, that I love to see that. And then you have echinacea growing in that pot there. So yeah, maybe I should just go ahead and plant some of the things in the soil. It's just great to see this, you know, it's great to see that there are like-minded residents here. The best thing for us to do is connect with one another and then share, and you know, they could give me techniques, I could give them, we can help each other out, and you know, just if we can develop permaculture, once again, without asking permission, we can just get right to it, start planting food. Once again, I was walking my roommate's dog and I came across this cactus, which I'm pretty sure is the same nopales cactus that these are edible pads, and then you could twist those off, put them in the earth, and they'll grow another cactus. Now, if you look at these bulbs that you see here, none of them are ripe right now, but these are what are known as cactus pears. Also, I believe they're known as tuna in Spanish. So yeah, these are delicious fruits that are very rich red when they're ripe, and you can tell because, you know, anything that stains your shirt is usually highly nutritious. So I think I'm the only one aware that this is food growing right here. There were about maybe 8 or 9 of them. So I picked a few at first and saw no one else was picking them. So I picked, and then once again, the plant responded by putting out a lot more flowers. All of these were previously little yellow flowers that were pollinated, and now they're fruits. You got to be careful with these. They do have little spines, so you take a tweezer and pull out the spines, but it's a delicious fruit. And then you've got the nopal, this piece that you can also cook, and not really sure. I know in Mexico they have different preparations for that nopal cactus leaf. But it reminds me of a time I was in New York, and we got a car coming. So yeah, I was in New York, walking down a sidewalk, and my Bulgarian friend Davo looked down at the ground, and then looked up, and just automatically went to reach and grab a berry. And I grabbed his arm and said, "You don't know if that's poisonous or not." And he just laughed and said, "You stupid Amerikanski." He said, "Look, these are mulberries. It's June. Mulberries are ripe in June. Look down at the ground. You see all those black stains? That's when people walked over these fresh berries that just dropped." So that was a point where I realized that we aren't taught this, definitely in school, and I could have died of hunger underneath this tree that had edible food growing. So I realized it's super important for me to learn how to identify these plants. There could be food growing around you that you pass on a daily basis, and we have no idea, you know. So it's very important to learn plant identification, especially being a city boy myself. We aren't taught this stuff, and we should be.
I also want to highlight where this cactus is basically the property line of the apartment development here. And I mean, the amount of food that could be grown along this fence, whether it's a vine similar to what's vined up here, sweet potatoes, some ground cover, more cactus,
Passion fruit.
So especially where you're in a complex like this where there is a community, I think guerrilla gardening is a good thing, because once these vines get the way they are, nobody's going to come in and cut those down. So maybe we need some guerrilla vines installed next.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, it's permaculture principle, which is to use the edges and value the marginal. So this is one long marginal, one long edge that, you know, there's mostly ornamental plants growing, but there could be food growing, and that could be feeding a lot of the residents. Also wanted to point out this plant. Looks like a type of aloe, and I'm not sure if it's edible or not, but I got to just do some research, some plant identification, and find out if that's edible, or if it's a remedy for any burns or cuts. But yeah, we've got actually a lot of that growing along this edge.
We just moved on down the end of the fence here where the cactus was, and it looks like this is like a deliberate spot that somebody set up. Why don't you tell us what's going on over here?
Right, so I'm fairly new to the complex, so I don't know when this was put in, but it obviously, like you said, it looks like a deliberate place to have some plants in planters. Someone put up a bird feeder as well, and a little bird bath. And what attracted me here was I found these collards growing, and you know, I've actually picked twice already from these collards and made a good Sunday breakfast with these. Yeah, and I always give thanks to the plant. I bring some mulch, I bring some water. I'm not sure who planted this, but I noticed that no one was really tending to it. So I just like picked up the, you know, what's the term? Picked up the baton or something. So anyway, I'd love to know who it was that planted it, but you know, I'm just taking care of the plant as well, and it provided me nourishment. And then you today, Mike, pointed out that these are sweet potatoes, and I'm not sure about that, but that looks like it might be corn.
Yeah, it might be.
But you know, so someone had planted something, and oh right, when I discovered this, a neighbor of mine was out here. Older lady was here. And she had mentioned that it might have been a woman that lived on this side of the complex, and now I think she moved to an apartment on the other side. Okay. Perhaps it's the person that was growing the peppers, you know. and maybe she just doesn't make her way over here. So anyway, you know, I saw the opportunity to take care of this plant and enjoy some nourishment from it. So yeah, you know, hope I'm not stepping on anybody's toes, but you know, if anything, I'll share some of what I'm growing with them. All right, so one other thing I wanted to mention about this beautiful apartment complex is that this actually used to be old military barracks. We got the VA hospital on the other side of the fence over there. So yeah, this used to be a place of war, but as you can see from this heart-shaped pool, it's now a place of love. And that's what I'm hoping we can do as mankind. Shift from the big war machine to planting seeds, growing love, and growing food with permaculture principles.
Okay, so we just did the tour of Ralph's complex, and now you kind of have a taste and flavor for what you can plant in small spaces, as well as how you can utilize the community. Maybe there's somebody growing peppers and you can grow something and exchange them for the peppers, or maybe there's stuff like the Napoles cactus?
The nopales.
Nopales cactus, and there's just some free fruit lying around like this avocado tree here, and these avocados that we just got off the ground. So I'm excited to wait for these to ripen a little bit, and you know me, I'm going to be trying to germinate these seeds and eventually crossbreeding these with my avocados. But
definitely.
Ralph, I know you do a little bit with the solar as well. Why don't you tell people where they can find you and if they're interested in solar?
Sure, yeah. So you can find me on Instagram. It's solar_powered_pro. You can find me there. My general brand is solar energy as the permaculture principle of catching and storing energy. When it comes to being solar, you want someone who's knowledgeable, ethical, and trustworthy. It can be one of the best moves you can make as a homeowner. I know there's a lot of stories out there, some negatives out there, but there's a lot of misinformation about how it works. You know, solar is not for everyone, but there's only one way to find out. You know, reach out to me on Instagram, or you can send me a copy of your electric bill at solarpoweredpro@gmail.com. And what I would need is a copy of your electric bill that shows me the amount of energy usage your home uses. And one thing that you're going to want to do as well, I'd really love to mention this, is that maybe your hot water heater is old, and maybe that needs to be replaced. By replacing that hot water heater to a hybrid hot water heater, your energy usage just went down, so you need less panels. You know, that would be a cheaper option than adding however many panels you need to heat that water. Another thing is, if someone needs a new roof, that's a perfect time to consider solar, because you could bundle the roof and solar together, and you pay nothing up front for that new roof, and you know, you just pay a monthly price for solar energy. The whole point about solar, it's supposed to save you money. There's a large tax credit that's available right now, 30%. So I'd be glad to help educate any homeowners and help them look and see if that's a viable option for them. So find me on Instagram or send me an email, solarpoweredpro@gmail.com or solar_powered_pro on Instagram.
Awesome. I appreciate it, my friend.
Thank you.
Great time today.
Thank you.
That's it for this episode. We'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.